Here we go. Yeah. It's time to listen up because this show's about to get you right. Settle in cause you be tuning into what jiu-jitsu life. Getting to the nitty and gritty of what the game's about. What it's really like when you get paid to fight and train for bouts. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it on louder. About to drop some knowledge, yo, it's Dominguez, Shawn, Fowler. About to give it to you straight, y'all, no filler. Pulling no punches, really couldn't get no realer. I'm a flow spiller, recognize that no one's illa. Keep it locked right on this episode because it's gonna be killer. Elite technique with the flows to get you hyped. I thought you knew with Shawn and Drew, the crew of a jiu-jitsu life.
What's going on, everybody? It's Shawn Fowler, 5365, and I'm here today with my co-host, Drew Dominguez. What's up, man?
Good morning.
We are in the studios today live with powerlifter Jimmy House. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing today?
Outstanding, bro.
Thank you guys for having me on the show.
Holiday weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Drew, what do you got, man?
Well, thanks for stopping by, number one. I noticed yesterday, well, the reason you're out here in California is because you had what was it, a curl contest, right? Sorry, I'm not used to this. Curl contest, right?
Yeah. It was CT Fletcher's SCA Strict Curl Nationals. It took place on Muscle Beach in Venice.
How did that go for you guys? First off, you brought your team with you. Who do you have sitting here with us?
I got my best friend, Irvin Dominguez, and then my other best friend, Jacob Hayes. Both know from wrestling. I've known Irvin my whole life. And they decided to come on a trip with us. They helped me with a lot of the house strong stuff, my own branding stuff. They're kind of like the inner circle of what kind of makes everything pop with my end of marketing and stuff.
Nice. Yeah. So let's talk about the competition yesterday.
So it took place in Venice Beach. I had cut a little bit of weight for it to make 197 pounds. My main competition was, if anyone here watches CT Fletcher, was a legendary Bulo. He was a returning world champ in the last one. He did 170 pounds strict curl, and at the end of the meet, it was me and him going for first and the world record, which was 177 and a half pounds. Both of us ended up failing, but because he ended up doing 170 pounds for his second attempt and I did 165 pounds for my second, he ended up winning the class. And I ended up taking third. Another person got 165 as well, but weighed a little bit less than me.
What's the world record?
So the world record, quote unquote, is going to vary depending upon the organization. But for that organization specifically, in that weight class was 177. I think the next weight class up was 195. CT got famous for setting the world record at 225. Yeah, that's like
how much I weigh.
Yeah, that's insane. That's a lifelong goal. I want to just hit 200 one day. That'd be cool.
Yeah, you mentioned you're preparing for you said you're preparing for trying to get your car to Utah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's actually somewhat of a secret, but I figure by the time this is posted, it won't really matter anymore. But yeah, I'm about 3 weeks out of my first bodybuilding show that I've done in 6 years. So I did one bodybuilding show when I was 17, leading into my senior year of high school. After that, I really just did wrestling, powerlifting, and then started jiu-jitsu. So I haven't done bodybuilding since then. But at the end of this jiu-jitsu season, I set for myself, my body fat levels got pretty low, and I kind of mentally I was there. So I figured why not just grind out another like 3 weeks to a month, see what physique I could bring in, and all goes well, maybe try to strive for like a natural pro card and a classic physique.
So let me hit you with something really quick. Let's go over the history of you and how long you've been lifting. How did you get into lifting? I know that you started at a very young age with your dad. How did all that come about? Your dad was a powerlifter and a weightlifter as well, or what?
No, he actually specifically wasn't labeled anything. The youngest I can remember seeing him training, I was probably 3 years old, and he was always just lifting in our garage. We had a pretty decent garage gym set up at home. He went through many phases of like dropping, 30, 40 pounds at a time, dedicating himself to obviously good eating, rest, good exercise. And when I was old enough, I guess, to kind of comprehend what he was doing, he taught me the basics. And from there, we worked out together every weekend, probably from when I was 6 years old up until when I was a freshman in high school. And then after that, I did my own training, and then that led into what I do now, which is a mixture of, the powerlifting, bodybuilding, jiu-jitsu, and everything else that follows.
So with that being said, you got into powerlifting competitions in high school, correct? You started doing it in high school as well?
So wrestling was my focus in high school, and then after wrestling, after I graduated high school, is when I got the itch to start powerlifting, specifically because at the end of my senior year, I had broke the school squat record, and so that was the first type of lifting record I ever strived to like shoot for. After I did that, it gave me some motivation to want to try the actual sport itself. And then I committed probably like 2.5 years of just straight powerlifting before I fell into or started jiu-jitsu.
How long, well, okay, so you powerlifted in high school. Did you set records? Where did you go to high school?
I went to Mountain Ridge High School in Glendale, Arizona.
Okay, so did you set records there?
Yeah, so the record that I set for lifting there was the school squat record, which was a 485-pound squat for 5 reps. They had us do like a 5-rep max to be safe or whatever, and that totaled to about 565 when I calculated.
So at this point, do you still maintain those records back there?
You know, yes, I think I still have it. There was somebody that went for it, but it was done at like a Fitness One, kind of outside of the school, so it may or may not count. I haven't returned it. Unfortunately, I'm not the guy that returned to high school to check to see if it's still there. I'll have to ask, though.
What about your high school reunion? You're going to go back to that? Because I didn't go to anything, and I'm at 30 years almost.
Well, I mean, everyone advises me to go back to my high school reunion, flex my lats a little bit, but I mean, we'll see. Let's see what we can do before then.
What's funny is why you see everybody whenever you go home. Period, so it doesn't matter.
I mean, I go to a gym right by my high school, and really, I think the high school reunion feel is enough when I go over there. There's way too many faces I remember from high school. Yeah, so I mean, maybe we'll see.
So competition based now, you travel all over the place. How did you actually link up with CT? How did that relationship come into play?
So it first started, it was 2 years ago. So he puts on an event called Iron Wars, and basically what it is, I describe it as like a mosh pit for lifting. It's kind of like a last man standing type thing. You got a bunch of lifters coming from all around the country, a lot of them being very well known, very like, I guess, quote unquote famous in the lifting community. And, you go there, you're either benching, deadlifting, or squatting. You're kind of put into this lineup of whoever is the last man standing wins. And when I saw that opportunity, I was kind of at a point in my life where I really wanted to try to find that way to break outside of the walls of Arizona and try to start outreaching and developing connections on a broader, more national scale. That's what came to Iron Wars 3, met CT, met a lot of the different people that were there, like Strength Cartel and whatnot. And ever since that day specifically, we've been returning to damn near every single event CT has put on since. And now, actually, I consider him a very good friend of mine.
I think that's really commendable, number one, because that's a huge relationship to have. You know what I mean? On a national level, CT has a lot of influential power whenever it comes to the actual whole weightlifting community and bodybuilding and so on and so forth. So with that being said, we know that you also created your own team, correct? Tell us about that.
So when I was at like maybe 2 years into powerlifting, I started a powerlifting team referred to as How Strong, obviously off of my last name. It just started as a group of friends, really, that were lifting together already, and then we kind of put a name behind it. After that started, basically we went from kind of having like different transition periods, like where kind of I was like the only one lifting and whatnot. But actually, so going back to the last question, the CT events is what actually, I guess you could say, brought together everyone again and also added in more people to that as well. A lot of the people that we have now were brought in efforts to bring a whole group to the last Iron Wars 4, and show people what Arizona powerlifting, Arizona people around my age, like we're all 23, can do. And I like to think we brought like 30 people to Iron Wars 4, and we made a big statement there. And for that, now I have different opportunities. We're about to start selling apparel online and stuff like that. We're working on our website. And it's funny because it just started as a powerlifting team. I never expected it to be anything to where it is now. But, you just kind of
regardless.
Take things by the journey and see where it takes you. But it's awesome. Thank you.
Drew, what do you got?
How many people are part of your team? How many guys do you have on
Actual athletes, I don't have an exact count, but I want to say realistically maybe like 10 to 12. Outside of that, we have a bunch of people that are definitely like within the group, but not specifically like athletes competing and everything. I mean, at the last Iron Wars, we brought about like 32 people there to represent and support the House Strong team or movement. And I would say that's about where it is now, for sure, as far as like people within the group. Period.
I mean, I would say that bodybuilding is probably called bodybuilding. What do you guys? What is the proper term?
I don't even know if I can really.
I think there's two sides to it.
I don't even know if I could put a label on it. I guess I'm just very sporadic in the things that I like to do, and I've made a lot of friends that kind of do similar things. It's funny, a lot of us dabble between jiu-jitsu and powerlifting, or powerlifting and bodybuilding, and we just all are kind of like-minded and doing all kind of the same things. It just comes naturally to us. I haven't even thought to put a label to it yet. I'll get back to you.
So, is it a big sport around Arizona, or is it something that everybody goes to your place because there's nothing else around the area?
It's interesting. When I first started powerlifting, I wouldn't say it was big. The sport of powerlifting in general has definitely grown over the last 2 or 3 years. In the state of Arizona specifically, I would definitely say it has grown. Like, for example, I see more people now, even if they don't compete in powerlifting, like trying to see how much they deadlift, how much they squat, or like are very intrigued in the movements themselves. And not to even accredit that to myself or the House Strong stuff, but like some of the different powerlifters out in Arizona are very talented, and seeing their stuff online, a lot of people now I see trying to like push themselves to see how strong they can get. Maybe people that wouldn't have tried it if they hadn't seen the powerlifting that they see now, like on social media.
How many, or do you guys hold any state records? Your team?
So yeah, there's a few of us that have done like meets and stuff like that. A few, or one here recording on Instagram Live, he has state records. Another one of them, just less, have state records. There's people that could have records, but they just haven't competed yet. Myself, I had several national records, and I still have a couple of my world records standing. Another person has a couple world records as well. So yeah, we have some established people, definitely for sure, all around my age, close to my weight, doing very impressive pound for pound body weight lifts. And it's just funny how I was able to kind of get all these people together, and a lot of us were wrestlers too. That's the other thing. It must be the mindset or something. But yeah, just doing this type of stuff just comes so naturally to us.
You guys are all fairly young. You're in your 20s. Where do you see yourself in the next 5, 10, 15 years?
It's a good question. I just got asked that the other day on my Instagram Live. Short-term wise and long-term wise, I have a lot of goals. I could sit here all day and talk about it, but realistically, long-term wise, with this brand itself, I would really like to open up my own facility one day. I think that'd be super awesome to be able to have, obviously, the jiu-jitsu side of things, but also the powerlifting and the bodybuilding, to really have a facility that represents essentially the grounds of what the House Strong movement was based off of. I think that'd be a dream come true. Short-term wise, there's so many different things I want to do with it, like the 3 different kind of active sports I compete in, whether it be jiu-jitsu, bodybuilding, or powerlifting. Just so many different things. I essentially, here's something that might kind of put things in perspective, which is, the way I describe it is, I don't think I'll ever be the best in jiu-jitsu, powerlifting, nor bodybuilding, but if I can be respectively very talented in all 3 and develop my niche by doing all 3 and stand out in that way, I think that's probably where I fall into play. I mean, I'm not no Gordon Ryan, I'm not, powerlifters now, Ray Williams, I'm not any of these guys, but, I have a decent resume for what I have done in the 3 sports, so if I can continue to build off of that and stand out as a guy that does well at all 3, professionally I've competed in jiu-jitsu.
Hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard. It's a fact. I don't care. All you got to do is show up every day, do your job, make sure you're on time, make sure you're where you need to be, in the right uniform of the day, in the right outfit, whatever that is, and you will be successful. That's it. You just have to show up and not let your people down. If you do that part, you'll be successful in everything that you do.
100%.
How do you feel your bodybuilding? Well, let me ask it this way: does bodybuilding affect your training for jiu-jitsu?
No, it doesn't. And I think it actually helps it, especially towards the end here. Right now, conditioning-wise, I feel better than I ever have before. Strength-wise, I don't feel any loss of functional strength. I can't literally lift as much as I could like at the end of my powerlifting season, but functionally, I feel better because I move better. I can put myself in better positions a lot quicker. And to be honest with you, with my diet specifically, unlike what maybe stereotypically you would think as far as like really low carbs, very low calories, as far as like trying to get very, very lean, my carbs are still very, respectable enough to perform and do my jiu-jitsu twice a day and still lift and everything. It has taken about like 8 months. I started back in February, right around ADCC when I started my like diet. But it's taken about 8 months to get my body adjusted to it. But honestly, right now I feel good doing both. And maybe like the last couple weeks I'll feel kind of iffy, but nothing like to where it's like months on end. No.
So do you focus? Really quick? Hold on. Do you focus on good carbs or bad carbs? Because I have guys, and I've been training jiu-jitsu a long time, and I did a lot of strength and conditioning. I don't power lift anymore. I'm too old for that, man. I focus on just strength and conditioning. But the truth of the matter is like my guys, I hear guys talk about keto all the time and all these other things, and your body's great to go into ketosis. You can cut sugars out, you can do all those things, and that's obviously science 101, right?
Yeah.
Losing weight. You just cut sugars out, man. You don't eat like sweet peas and corn and stuff like that, and your veggies, you stick to dark greens, stuff like that, everything will be good. But I think a lot of people don't recognize or realize that all of those sugars are the things that kill you, right? But on the flip side of that, if you're taking in the wrong carbs too, it could be very bad too, you know what I mean? Focusing on complex carbs like oatmeal or brown rice or quinoa, stuff like that. Not everybody does that. How do you focus your carbs?
So me personally, and that's the thing too. So you have like the people that diet based off of like solely macros, but then I also, which I do diet now specifically like trying to meet a specific macronutrient count, but also at the same time too, it's also about having the micronutrient dense foods that are going to actually help your body perform, give yourself the health benefits and not just put empty calories in your body. At the end of the day, technically, by the definition, yeah, you could lose weight if you're eating maybe like a bunch of bad carbs, but you're still in a caloric deficit.
Right.
But it's what those carbs will do to you in the long run as far as like sustainability. Like, are you going to be able to eat like Pop-Tarts and stuff like that for the rest of your life and just have your carbs that way?
Negative Ghost Rider.
Yeah, it's just
metabolism change, man.
Yeah, exactly. And for myself specifically, I didn't come from an obese background, but I definitely come from a background that puts on fat a little bit easier than others. And I found that if I try
So you like burritos?
I like burritos, I like hamburgers. I mean, like dieting on this trip has been a little bit difficult. I'm not gonna lie, but we had our meals prepped beforehand. But I find that if I try to replace my macronutrients with foods that I like hamburgers, and just eat it in like a more of a controlled setting, it still doesn't work as effectively as it does if it's my sweet potatoes, my ground turkey, my asparagus, spinach, stuff like that. Oatmeal, like you said.
What's a cheat day like for you? Because we're talking about food.
So this is how I described it last night. So sometimes coaches will recommend like cheat meals. If that's recommended to me, typically it turns into a cheat day, and if it turns into a cheat day, then it turns into a cheat weekend, which that cheat weekend turns into
A cheat week?
it turns into eat as much food as you would have eaten in a week in 2 days. And so basically, like,
You're bloated for a week.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I pressed myself with how many pounds I can put on in those 2 days. My record is about 25.
In 2 days.
Yeah, water weight and shit and all that good stuff, yeah. After my first bodybuilding show, I think I weighed in at 175. The next day, we were in the 190s. Yeah.
So whenever it comes down to, okay, so I know you offset your balance as far as jiu-jitsu and powerlifting or weightlifting, or now you're going to do bodybuilding, right? So now you're talking about going IFBB Pro coming up, so on and so forth. What does your diet change to whenever you start to shred for a bodybuilding competition? Do you go to a lot of tilapia, because it's got the less water? Do you go to, a lot of salmon? Do you focus on fish, or do you still focus on chicken? Or what is your route there?
So I've always found, I've done the tilapia and stuff like that.
Tilapia is horrible, by the
Yeah,
way.
it's horrible, and it makes all your friends hate you because it smells. I've always had pretty decent success with like just 99-1 lean ground turkey. Without anything on it, it tastes really, really dry. But there's actually a lot of sauces that are out now.
Flavor God does really great too.
Yeah. I just picked up it's called Skinny Girl Vinaigrette. It's pretty nice, like 1 gram of carb per serving. But that's what I've been sticking with lately. I think towards the end we're gonna switch to fish, but like typically I stick with like lean ground turkey.
Do you focus a lot on your salts too as well?
No, not right now, specifically because of the fact that I'm still doing like jiu-jitsu. You know, in the morning I teach and train, and then at night I train. So my sodium intake still needs to respect the level of like cardio stuff that I'm doing with jiu-jitsu and the lifting and everything too. So I don't really worry about my sodium intake as much because my sodium input and output should be different than say the person that's just lifting and just doing like Stairmaster at the gym.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first time we saw you was April, the West Coast trial.
It was February.
ADCC.
Yeah, February. Yeah.
You finished fourth.
So I lost in the quarterfinals the returning champ Casey Hillenberg, and if I had ended up winning that match, I would have gotten third by injury default. So I lost by 5 points.
How did you feel about your performance?
There, like I was going into it, for one, I just didn't want to lose my first one because I didn't want to make the trip out just to go home after losing one match. But I won my first 2, and I had Casey in the quarterfinals. Realistically, I didn't really know what to expect. I was that was actually my first competition as a purple belt, period.
And Casey's a big boy.
He's a big boy, and that was right at the end of my powerlifting season, so I had about 9 days of actual preparation, like conditioning and all that for ADCC, and I tried to make the 217 weight class, but in 9 days from 240 to 217, I wasn't able to make the drop. I got close, but not close enough. And but all in all, I was really pleased with how I did, to be honest with you. Being able to hang with those guys and see where I am on that competition level. How old
are you again?
I'm 23. I started jiu-jitsu now 2.5 years ago.
2.5 years ago?
Yeah.
Didn't you just get belted?
Yeah.
What did you get?
Brown.
You've been training for 2.5 years and got a brown belt already?
Yes, sir.
Who are you training under?
So my coach's name is...
Some bitch!
My coach's name is Scott Tannenbaum. He's a 4th degree black belt under Higa Machado.
Well, you did wrestle your whole life, right?
I wrestled 3 years in high school. Yeah.
What do you think about the upcoming ADCC finals? Any favorites? Anybody looking for? Are you going to come out?
I really want to see how Nick Rodriguez does. Because, 1, he was in the weight class that I was in, and 2, to see if he could pull off a win with the lack of experience that he has, Yeah, that'd be incredible.
He's blue belt, right?
Yeah, he's a blue belt, technically, yeah. So,
That's crazy.
but I'm really looking forward to watching him. With all the trash talk Gordon Ryan's doing on Instagram, it's always intriguing to see how his matches play out, but I'm sure he'll do fine. Rolling with Galvao and Hinger on Friday. Definitely interested to see how they do. Those are probably some of the main guys I'm watching for. My friend Keith.
Well, and Galvao's only doing a super fight,
Yeah,
so he's in and out. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
Josh has a tough weight class.
Mhm.
I tell you what, this is the most stacked ADCC that I've ever been. I've been doing the trials now and everything on the West Coast since 2009, and this is the single most stacked card, even better than the 2005 Worlds that we had in Long Beach. This is the most stacked card that we've ever had. So this is going to be, tickets are almost sold out actually. So if you guys are getting tickets, you better go on adcombatclub.com and get those tickets as soon as possible.
You pride yourself in being a clean lifter. How do you feel about the controversy going around right now with steroids and jiu-jitsu? Like Shawn had mentioned a little while ago, before we were on camera, there's a website who's pretty much picking on certain teams and certain fighters.
Yeah.
About their physique. How do you feel about that? And do you think it has a place in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, it's funny. That page actually put me on their story a few months ago. But so when I was younger, I used to be really oblivious to it. Like when it came to bodybuilding and stuff like that, I never understood how I could be doing the same diet as one of the guys on my same competition team, and they're looking a certain way that I sure as hell wasn't looking, and why are we not getting the same results and stuff. And it kind of plays into the other sports as well, powerlifting and jiu-jitsu. I've been around that topic for so long. There's going to be people that are doing it in every single sport. When it comes to jiu-jitsu, I guess in some ways I almost don't care about it as much in jiu-jitsu than I would in powerlifting or bodybuilding because the results per se aren't directly affected by the PED use. Like in powerlifting, that has a direct effect. In bodybuilding, obviously, in jiu-jitsu, like in jiu-jitsu, obviously, like it's gonna make you stronger and help in all those different aspects. But like at the end of the day, like the technician, you know what I mean? And like so that's where like there's that gray area where yeah, there's people using it, but I don't think it plays as much of a role in jiu-jitsu as far as like giving them a complete 100% advantage. I definitely think it gives an advantage. I don't do it myself, and I don't plan to. But between the different sports, I don't know how much of a role it makes. Like it's that huge of a difference.
What advantage would you think it gives jiu-jitsu? I mean, I don't know. I just can't. I personally don't agree with it. Just like in MMA a few years back, TRT was allowed, and then you see guys like Vitor Belfort coming in like looking like he's 19, 20 years old.
Right.
And the guy's 40-something years old.
Yeah, and you know what? I agree. I don't agree with you either. I think there should be an even playing field, completely like 100%. If there's an actual way to ensure that actually happens, hopefully they find that one day. Realistically, maybe not. I think that it probably definitely helps the bigger weight classes more. That's where like strength and actual body weight can play a little bit more of a role than like maybe your technical ability can. As far as the lighter weights and stuff, I don't know how much it would really help. But I think like the bigger weights for sure. Like if you're pounds of mass or muscle mass versus fat mass, I think you would definitely feel that. If you have like two equal technicians going against each other, I think the person with the strength advantage obviously would pull out on top. That's my opinion.
What you got, Shawn?
As a whole, okay, so you got your brown belt in 2.5 years. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
That's a huge accomplishment.
Thank you.
But my question to you is, do you feel, because now that you're starting to compete a little bit more and more, do you feel that maybe you got advanced too early?
Yeah, and that's something that's always kind of been brought up. Based on how
I'm not. One thing I'm not doing is saying that your coach doesn't know what he's doing. That's not where I'm going.
For sure.
My thing is that it makes it difficult. Like you can't even compete at IBJJF now as a brown belt.
Right.
You have to be at a 6-year mark to compete in IBJJF. So if you wanted to go there, you're going to have to hold out and wait until the 6-year mark. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It allows you to do every other competition in the world, obviously. But do you feel now that you're competing a little bit more in jiu-jitsu, do you find it? Have you competed since you got your brown?
No, that was last week.
So I was gonna say it was like 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? 3 weeks ago. Do you find it a little bit difficult advancing quicker? Not because you have the skill set, but because maybe there's something that you want to accomplish in jiu-jitsu, and now you feel like it could slow that growth. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I've had that thought before. Like, when I first started, like I had goals of like wanting to do nationals and worlds at each belt level and seeing how I do there. My goals have changed kind of since then. I don't wish to be ranked faster than anybody else. When I assessed, like, when I was specifically, like, we'll do, like, testing for our belts. When I assessed when I was going through the process of testing for my brown belt, honesty with myself is huge. And I try to give that same honesty with all the other belts. And I got the same kind of hate for, like, blue going to purple belt as well. But at the end of the day, when I assess how I performed against people of my same belt level in competition, people of a higher belt level, how I roll against people of a higher belt level in practice or at open mats, whether, generally I think I do well enough to
I ask because, you got guys like, okay, so if you look at the American structure, okay?
Right.
Mike Fowler is probably, I think Mike Fowler is actually the fastest black belt next to Orlando Sanchez in the gi, okay? Mm-hmm. But if you look at no gi, Boogie and Gio are the fastest black belts in the no gi world. So the reason why I ask that is because at some point, and I'm sure you've already heard the trash talk or people talking. There's haters everywhere, bro. Whatever, it is what it is. But I only ask because if you're chasing something like that, you're going to miss the boat because you're going to have to wait so long to get there. Not saying that you won't catch up, okay, but or it gives you more time at each belt level. You know what I mean? You just advance so quickly that you kind of bypass the opportunity to attack, unless it's at other type of events versus, obviously ADCC you can go do.
Right,
But,
which I guess so. To answer your question, that goes into my, I guess, kind of change of goals as I've progressed through jiu-jitsu. I've been a little bit more sub only. I started more as points when I
like it.
started jiu-jitsu. I still do point tournament here and there, but a little bit more sub only now. And to be honest, like if I were to pick like a tournament that I would really want to make a name at, it would be ADCC. So based off of how I did as my first competition as a purple belt versus those guys in a weight class that I don't think realistically, if I was in full season, I should have been in. I think I personally, in my honest opinion, I'm at the appropriate belt level for myself. So based off of, and that's just not even based off of rolling. That's based off of knowledge, teaching ability, and everything that goes in between. Because obviously, there's so many different things that goes into being a brown belt, a black belt, etc. That goes so much.
Character is number one, man. Character is one of the biggest things. Remembering that it's an actual martial art first 100%. And foremost. You know what I mean? And so many people forget that aspect. They're just and not you specifically, but a lot of people only chase belts, man. And I hear it all the time. They're like, "Well, I'm not a blue belt yet, and I can't believe it. Like I smash everybody in the room." Yeah, but you're a dick online, bro.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I'm not giving you a fucking belt if you're a dick online. It's pretty simple, And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I watch how my guys act out in public. I watch how they act online. Being a martial artist is several things, man. It's in the community. It's at home. It's out. It's not only on the mat, but it's off the mat. So it's everything, And a lot of people don't realize that or know that.
24/7 for sure.
I agree.
We're running short on time.
You got a couple more.
What are 5 things you can't live without?
Okay, so 5 things off the top of my head. First and foremost would be my friends, my family. To get those 2 cliche ones out of the way.
Burritos.
Yeah, food for one, like specific types of food. The next ones would definitely be, and this is why I don't have a girlfriend anymore, would be lifting and jiu-jitsu. I can't live without those.
You'll find one, dude.
See,
one day somebody. No, seriously, like a lot of people don't understand this. Like, there's somebody for everybody, and somebody will understand your lifestyle, or you'll meet somebody within your lifestyle that'll make your life easy.
Yeah,
the thing is that people often judge. They want certain things, or they want certain, certain time, or they want certain this, or they want certain that, and they don't look at the overall aspect of the goals, and they try to take away your goals. And you have to find somebody that's willing to accept you for who you are, your lifestyle, and still be a part of your life. And if you get that, everything else will fall into place.
I completely agree. We're still waiting, but I agree. I mean, I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen, though.
God dang it.
But we're young. It's all right. I'm enjoying the jiu-jitsu, lifting, being solo trained. I'm good with it.
Yeah, because once you have a baby, bro, you're going to stay up all night.
Oh.
And any competitions coming up? Talk about?
Jiu-jitsu, I'm going into powerlifting next. So the next probably like 7 or 8 months are going to be dedicated to specifically training for powerlifting comps after this bodybuilding show. After the powerlifting season's over, then my next major ones would be the 2 trials. So my next goals would be to be at East Coast and West Coast, and maybe have a couple of tune-ups here and there.
But if you win East Coast, you don't got to do West Coast, man. You're straight.
Yeah. Well, that'd be the goal. That'd be great. So I mean, at least one of them. But those are the 2 major ones I'm definitely preparing for. Like those are my ones that I want in my mind right now, for sure.
I like it. All right, Drew. What else you got?
That's it. Let everybody know where you can find you, YouTube,
Awesome.
Instagram, all that social media stuff.
So on Instagram, you can find me at jhouse182, the letter JHOUSE 182. And then my lifting page is Team House Strong, just the words Team House Strong. And then on YouTube, you can also find me under House Strong as well if you just type in Jimmy House, and we have all my jiu-jitsu and lifting videos on there as well. Lots of knowledgeable information to pass on to anyone willing to learn how to do jiu-jitsu or lifting weights.
As far as your merch, is that on your page as well? That's also on your website?
That is our next project. We're working on a website right now, so that's all going to be advertised shortly. So we just put in a new order for new apparel, so we'll have that out here pretty shortly for sure.
I appreciate it, man. I really, really appreciate your time today coming out here. I know it was a drive from Arizona, but you were already going to be out here, so we really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
For this and all of our episodes, you can check us out at 5grappling.com. Upcoming, we have the ADCC Worlds coming up in Anaheim, September 28th and 29th. We will be in Colorado with Echelon Front, Dean Lister and Jocko and Echo. And congrats, Echo, on that black belt, man. That's huge, dude. You've been training a long time, and it's well-deserved, and you couldn't have got it from better guys, man. Really appreciate that. Love you guys. Outside of that, man, we are out of here today on this Sunday morning. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you guys so much. It was an honor. Thank you. Thanks.
We would like to thank our sponsors, 5 Grappling, 5365 Media, 5 Forward Foundation, 5 Superfoods and Shaved Ice Company, Hono BJJ, and the Fuji Mat Company. Without you, we are nothing. For this episode or any of our episodes, check us out at 5grappling.com or follow us on social media at 5grappling. If you're watching this video on YouTube or listening via podcast, don't forget to click the subscribe button below. Thank you for your support. 5 Grappling. Compete, evolve. Real people, real stories, real life, 5 brand.